Happy Friday, Year 5. Here's Chapter 9. Jem and I were both numb with misery and so tired from our broken night that both our heads nodded in spite of ourselves. Every now and then I woke with a start and Jem murmured, "There now, Hetty, I'm here." Once I woke first, and when Jem twitched and started awake with a cry, I said quietly, "There now, Jem, I'm here," reaching up to put my arms round him. Then we saw smoke in the distance. Excuse me, Year 5. Then we saw smoke in the distance, and houses started to line the road, and we were almost at the town. On those rare shopping days in the past, we'd wriggle around excitedly and start to sing. This time we were silent. I meant to tell you a story all the way to comfort you, but the words wouldn't come. I'm so sorry if I've lost my place now. I meant to tell you a story all the way to comfort you, but the words wouldn't come, Jem whispered. Never mind, I whispered back. I do love you so, Jem. I love you too, my Hetty. You have your sixpence safe? In my pocket, look. Oh, Jem, I've nothing to give you. Give me a kiss, Hetty. That's all I want. I leaned even closer and carefully blew a big kiss into his ear. There, my kiss is inside you now, I said, imagining it flying around like a little caged bird. Sam drove his cart through the crowded streets of the town towards the big station. It loomed above us, its great steel archway a gaping maw. I'd always loved peeping inside at the huge trains blowing out steam with a roar like gleaming dragons, but now I shrank back. We clung to the sides of the cart, shivering. Then Mother saw the great clock and gasped. Look at the time! Oh, Lordy! We'll miss the train if we're not hasty. Set us down, Sam. She jumped from the cart, taking Gideon in her arms. He moaned at the noise and hid his head under her shawl. Come, Hetty. Jem, you have to go home. Let me go on the train too, Mother. I beg you. No, son. I haven't got the fare for you. The hospital sent the exact amount. 1 third-class seat and 2 children. I can hide from the ticket man, Mother, said Jem. I can run right through the barrier and... Nonsense! Do you want to get us all into trouble? Now we're late. The train is due to leave any minute. Get down, Hetty! She pulled me from the cart, twisting my arm in her haste so that I started bawling. Stop that noise, said Mother. We must go to find our carriage. She looked anxiously at Jem. Take care going home, for goodness sake. If you lose your way, find a kindly-looking lady to set you on the right path. Promise me you'll be a sensible lad and go straight back. I can't take any more worries. But, Mother, I have to come too, said Jem, jumping down from the cart and putting his arms around me. Hetty needs me so. I have to look after her. You can't look after her. You're only a silly little boy, Mother snapped in her distress and frustration. It was as if her words were some dreadful antidote to our magic spell. Jem had always towered like a giant, but now he shriveled into a small boy, scarcely bigger than me. A boy who started sobbing. Say goodbye now, Jem, Mother commanded. Jem reached up to Gideon, in her arms, and kissed his white cheek. Then he bent and kissed me too, on both my cheeks, and then my lips. Goodbye, Hetty. I love you so, he mumbled. I love you too, Jem. I love you. I love you. I love you. You won't forget me, will you, Hetty? Never, ever, 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 ever. I still chanted it as Mother tore our hands apart and bustled Gideon and me past the barrier and the ticket man, urging us towards the train. I craned my neck and saw Jem waving and waving. I sawed my own free arm wildly in the air until Mother found the third-class carriages at last and tugged us up into the train as the whistle went. I sat on the seat by the door, my legs sticking out. I fingered the leather strap to open the window as we started chugging slowly out of the station. I wondered if I dared leap right out. I could jump onto the platform, rejoin Jem, and then we could run away together. Mother slapped my hand away from the strap. Stop that, Hetty! Do you want to fall out to your death? Yes, I declared, deciding I did indeed want to die if I couldn't be with Jem. As the train gathered speed and hastened through the town and out into the countryside, I pictured myself leaping out of the window. My guardian angel would scurry down and snatch me up in his strong arms. We would fly up and up to heaven. I would wear a snowy white gown and build castles in the clouds and jump from star to star. I definitely want to die, I declared. That's a dreadful thing to say, child, said Mother, shocked. You can't mean it. Yes, I do. I'd like to go to heaven right this minute. If you choose to kill yourself, you'll go straight to the other place, Hetty, Mother reminded me. I thought about Hell. I remembered the time a hot coal fell out of the fire and glanced against my leg. It had hurt so badly I screamed and screamed, and then I'd had to stump around with a rag bandage for a week or more. I pictured burning my whole body, cooking for all eternity. I decided I didn't want to die just yet. I stopped fiddling with the carriage door and slumped in my seat, my chin on my chest. Gideon reached out and clutched my hand. His eyes were wide with fear now. He burrowed hard against Mother. There now, my lambkin, Mother's here, she said automatically. Gideon kept quiet, but he started crying, tears seeping down his cheeks. I cried too, clutching my rag baby, using her soft legs as a handkerchief when I got too damp and soggy. Mother pulled me closer, her arms round both of us now. The train started slowing down. I peered out of the window in agitation. Were we there already? Mother saw my expression. It's a long journey, Hetty. Couple of hours until we get to London town. Gideon wailed fearfully, understanding properly now. The train stopped at a little country station and a large woman in a purple gown squeezed herself into our carriage. She smelled very sweet and her cheeks were very red. I thought she must have been running hard to catch the train, but Mother sniffed slightly and edged away from her. The purple lady beamed at all three of us. Hello, my dearies. Why the tears and long faces? She peered at Gideon's pale face and dark circled eyes. Oh dear, is he not well, the little lad? He's been poorly, Mother said shortly. She stuck out her shoulder, trying to protect Gideon from the purple woman's glance. She looked at me instead. And what about this little mite, she asked. Why are you crying so, my dearie? I sniffed, not knowing what to say. I don't want to go to hell, I mumbled, though I wanted to go to the hospital even less. Hetty, Mother hissed. The purple woman shook with laughter. We could hear her stays creaking. She threw her head back, her chins wobbling. Then she reached into her reticule for a lace handkerchief and dabbed at her streaming eyes. Children, she said to Mother. Oh, my Lord, the things they say. She looked at me, pinching my cheek with her fat fingers. Cheer up, little girlie. Have you been a bad girl plaguing your mother, is that it? Here, I know what will cheer you up. She ferreted around at the bottom of her bag and came up with a fruit drop as red as a ruby. Aha, what have we here? Pop it in your mouth, quick. Thank you kindly, but Hetty's not allowed. Mother started, but the drop was in my mouth before she could finish her sentence. There, that worked a treat, didn't it? Said the purple woman triumphantly. Shall we find one for your brother now? She discovered an emerald green fruit drop and offered it to Gideon. Mother sighed. Oh, very well. She stoppered Gideon's mouth with the sweet. Say thank you, children, said Mother. I thanked the purple woman, and Gideon nodded his head. Think nothing of it, my dears, she said. How old are you, Missy? She asked me. I'm 5, going on 6, ma'am, I said. And what about you, little boy? Gideon said nothing. Mother didn't seem inclined to answer for him. He's 5 too, I piped up. The purple woman seemed surprised. She peered at Gideon, she peered at me, then she looked at Mother. They're never twins. They don't look a jot alike. They're not twins, Mother said uncomfortably. Oh my, but they are brother and sister? She pulled one of my red plaits, then she lowered her voice. Do they perhaps have different fathers? Neither child favours you, my dear. Mother snorted down her nose. I don't care to discuss it, particularly not in front of the children. She couldn't have been plainer if she'd said, mind your own business, but the purple woman would not be put off. No need to be so humpty-tumpty, missus, she said, chuckling. My 2 kiddies have 2 fathers, and neither father was my husband, but we've managed just fine and dandy, and I've a real husband now to support us all. She showed off the gold ring on her fat finger. She was talking in riddles as far as I was concerned, but Mother was outraged. I'm a respectable married woman, she said. These 2 dear lambs happen to be my foster children. Really, my dear? Well, there's a thing. Foster children, eh? That's a fine idea. So are their real mothers dead then? No, I said. Mother usually told me off when I used that tone, but she patted my shoulder now. They've never known their mothers. These are children from the Foundling Hospital. She said it with her head held high, as if it was something to be proud of. The purple woman certainly seemed impressed. The Foundling Hospital, I dare say they pay you royally then. How much do you get for their keep, if you don't mind me asking? Mother clearly did mind, but she murmured, 18p a week. For the two of them? Per child. My lordy, that's a fortune, especially as these two are the size of sparrows, hardly likely to eat you out of house and home. I look after my children for love, not money, said Mother. Then her voice broke. And now I have to take them back to the Foundling Hospital, and my heart is breaking. She started sobbing. Her arms were still stretched around us, so she couldn't hide her face. She wept openly, tears dripping down her dear big face. The purple woman seemed taken aback. Don't upset yourself, dearie. I'm sure they'll be well cared for. It's not as if you're putting them in the workhouse now, is it? They'll do very well back at the hospital. And you can always get yourself another baby or two to keep your income steady. You don't understand, Mother sobbed. I didn't understand. These children seem like mine. We understood, Gideon and I. She was our mother. She'd been Martha's mother too, and Saul's. I threw myself against her chest, winding my arms round her neck. Gideon was fairly suffocating, but did not protest. We three hugged each other hard. All thoughts of Madame Adeline rode right out of my head on that white pony. At that moment, I was hugging the only mother I wanted. The purple woman was at last subdued. She stopped talking until a new woman joined our carriage at the next station. Then they set up a conversation together, their voices low so we could scarcely hear them. It seemed they were talking about us. We clung tightly to Mother the entire journey. At long last, the train hissed and puffed into a vast echoing station with steel buttresses arching overhead, like a smoky cathedral. Doors opened and slammed. There was a scurrying and clamour that unnerved all three of us. We stood still while people pushed us and jostled us and complained in harsh, high voices. Let's go back home, Mother, I begged. Mother looked at us. Her hands tightened on our shoulders. She bit her lip. For a moment, I thought she was actually going to bundle us back on the train. But then she took a deep breath. We can't go back home, Hetty, she said very sadly. You are my dear children, but you are not allowed to stay with me. You have to go to the Foundling Hospital now. She led us across the station forecourt to a public lavatory. This was such a novelty to us that in spite of our misery we marvelled at the white porcelain and brass chain and the proper paper for wiping ourselves. When we had relieved ourselves, Mother washed the train soot from our hands and faces and then fumbled in her purse. She brought out 2 bone lockets, each hanging on a silk ribbon. These are for you, she said, tying one round my neck. Is Gideon having a necklace too, Mother? I said, surprised. I picked up my locket and peered at it. There was a long number engraved on one side. I read it out with difficulty. I didn't know my numbers yet, the way I knew the alphabet. This is your number at the hospital, Hetty. You are Foundling number 25629, and Gideon is number 25621. So are there thousands and thousands of children at the hospital, Mother? No. The hospital has been open a very long time. All the first foundlings have grown up and maybe had children and grandchildren of their own, and now they are in their graves. So many children, said Mother. She bent closer to us. And you two, and Saul and Martha, are the best foundling children ever. Take no notice if folks spurn you or cast aspersions because your real mothers could not care for you. You hold your heads up high and let me be proud of you. We stared back at her earnestly, tipping our chins up and stretching our necks. She gave us each a warm kiss on the lips and then took us by the hand. Come then, my children. We emerged into the loud, hissing bustle of the station. Mother led us outside, where the hansom cabs were waiting. Please take us to Guildford Street, said Mother, fingering her fat purse to show she could pay the fare. The Foundling Hospital, said the cab driver. He sucked his teeth and shook his head at us. Poor little mites. We clambered inside his cab and peered out in awe and terror at the crowded London streets. Mother might have been a countrywoman, but she proudly showed us St. Paul's Cathedral as we passed slowly over Waterloo Bridge. We could not believe the traffic everywhere. We were used to seeing one cart at a time in the village lanes. There seemed to be hundreds of cabs and carriages and carts and huge omnibuses crowded with city folk. Men in smart dark suits marched on foot over the bridge. I wondered if they could be some strangely garbed army, but Mother said they were simply businessmen on their way to and from work. There were ladies too, their skirts drawn up in comical bustles at the back, trip-trotting in their tiny shoes. They had to hold up their skirts and tread warily when they crossed the streets, which were covered in horse dung. We were country children and used to horse dung and clearing out the pigsty, but we've never smelled it so strongly before. The river smelled sour and strange too, with a greasy slick shining in the water. What sort of city was this, where you couldn't stroll along the streets or swim in the river? Once we were over the bridge, the cab travelled through such a muddle of streets, some very broad and big, some narrow, twisting alleyways, so that I was hopelessly muddled and confused. My heart thudded whenever I spotted any great grey building, in case it was the hospital. At last the cab slowed and came to a stop, outside great iron gates, enclosing a plain, wide building with many arched windows. Mother drew in her breath and clutched our hands tight. She didn't need to tell us. We were at the Foundling Hospital. Have a lovely weekend, Year 5, and I'll see you on Monday for Chapter 10. Bye-bye.